Good day, YouTube. This is a few days before Memorial Day weekend 2017. I'm getting kind of a plan together to make good use of 3 days off, which is very rare for me. And we're in the 1965 Boyertown. I know I've been calling this a 1962, but we learned through the title process it's actually a 65 model. And I had the dash all tore apart and the wiring was a mess. 50 years of adding and subtracting and making a mess of it, and nobody that did any of the wiring was any good at it. So I just had to tear it all out, take everything that was not done well, and just remove it. Got stuck throw it everywhere. The place is a mess right now. But I am going back together. So as you can see, I did throw some paint on the dash while I had everything out. And I had just had to make use of the holes that were already there. As you can see, electric wiper switch. So if you've seen in my previous videos, I made an attempt to make the original vacuum wiper system and vacuum assist motor work. I did make them function, but they weren't strong enough to actually move the wiper blades. So I ended up changing that out to electric. I did purchase a new headlight switch. I just didn't want to rely on the old one. So just a universal switch. I have 3 of these nifty little toggle switches in. I bought a half a dozen of them for the project. They're not currently connected to anything. And then I had that hole there that I made larger. I know they're not centered or anything, but they were already there. So I just made that one a little bigger. I had this digital voltmeter that I bought a few of on the internet, and I'll hook that up. Not much for like fuse box in this thing. I had bought these very cool fuse blocks. See if I can get them in the video. Mounted them under the dash, and they're 10 circuit, and then you can see that relay right there. Hope you can see that relay right there. There it is. Sorry, the wiring's still a mess. Some of this stuff is still hanging and coiled up for future connections. So what I did was made one fuse box come on via that relay with the ignition switch. So everything I had to fuse box on the right, or the one closest to the ignition switch, will come on and off with the ignition switch and accessory, or on position. The other one is hot all the time. So that's what I'm doing. I hope to finish this up this weekend. It is not fun for me in my back and my neck to lay underneath this dash, but I spent all day Saturday with my neck in a wreck, and we got there. I took the driver's seat out to get access to it. That's pretty good. Below my board there, because this does not have a driver's door, unfortunately it'd be cool if it did. It has a very large window, so that's cool. But there is like a footwell, and it's all rusted out. But that's the location I want to build a spot for the house batteries. I want to be able to run sound equipment, at least limited sound equipment, from house batteries. So that's where they're going to reside. And they'll have a constant duty solenoid that once I turn the ignition switch on, click, it will pull solenoid in and tie the batteries together, being the truck battery with the house batteries. And the truck battery is located right underneath that black diamond plate, right about that location in front of my foot. So cable lengths will be relatively short. So here's the next exciting thing. This thing's got tons of surface rust on it, as you can see. And I have ordered quantity 4 gallons of a rust converter. Okay, how long would it take me to sand all that rust off, and then would you ever really get it all off? A long time that I don't really have. A little looking on YouTube, I found a rust converter. I'll do a video on that when it arrives. Somebody probably started sanding on this thing and then it sat outside for 20 years. So I'm going to give this thing a quick sand with a DA, and then I'm going to go over all the rust areas with this rust converter. Kind of looks like milk. It goes on, and in 2 hours, man, that rust is gone, and it leaves you a primered surface suitable for painting. How exciting will that be? So I'd like to get it to the point this weekend where the wiring's done and all the lights work. I'm gonna stub wires out for, yes, those are heated mirrors, picked them up at a swap meet, and I would like to put a turn signal out there on them as well, like a taillight turn signal. So I'm gonna stub some wires out through the body to connect to that. I have the holes all cut, as you've seen on previous videos, for the turn signals in front and in the rear. Almost done. There's the wiper motor. I did find a wiper arm, and I have one, and then I had to go find another and pay twice as much for it, but it is ordered and should be here shortly. Lots and lots of surface rust and a little bit of body work left. This is all rusted out here, but that's that footwell I just mentioned. That's going to be the battery box. So I'm going to cut a big opening here. I'll do like 1x2 tubing to replace all that is rotted, and then I will probably frame this in angle iron, make a door, make a shelf, and go from there. Lots and lots of bad paint on this side, lots and lots of surface rust. I have a little bit of work to straighten up these doors. They're never going to be perfect. I got to get all the reflectors off, all the clearance lights off, and there's clearance lights up there as well. Get all those off, get those holes plugged, and after I get it painted, start putting clearance lights back on them. And I'm not talking about a dozen, I'm talking about 100. So there's going to be roughly 100 lights on the outside of this, and I am getting all my other lights put in. I got to try to finish this as well this 3-day weekend. I've got 2 LED lights to illuminate the license plate, and I want to put special purpose plates on this. This is just going to car shows and stuff its whole life. It's the plan. And there we go. So I really have high hopes this rust converter works just like it does on the internet. Again, I will do a story on it. I have a couple little panels to cut out, pop rivet something over it. Doesn't have to be crazy. That's still just sitting there. I got to pull it out, get the junk out of it, get it mounted. I have to decide if I'm going to leave this thing mounted from the inside or bring it to the outside. See what looks best. That's the vent for the generator. So my goal is to get all this stuff working so the vehicle could be get driven. I've never driven it. I've had it about a year now, but it still does not have brakes, and the front end, it turns very, very hard. So what I'd like to do, there's a local shop, it's called Snyder's and Sons. They've been in business for 100+ years, back when they serviced buckboards and wagons. And I want to get this thing to Snyder's in the next couple of weeks, and I'm just going to pay them to do the brakes and go through the front end and make this thing stop and steer. Other than that, I think I could get most everything else done. I've got the visor that I built for this thing. I can get it mounted. There's a little bit of body work to do up there. This thing's in no way going to be perfect. It's going to be presentable. I got to get my brother-in-law over here to help me pull the glass, because I have some metal to repair, replace at the top of the windshield. Get a bunch of windshield trim coming, all that rubber seal. I have some delamination. I know I might look into see what it costs to put glass in this thing. To me, it's not real important. I can see, but we'll see. If it's $500, $400, I don't think I'll do it. I think I'll just put the old glass back in, clean it up, and call it good. It's going to have some age to it. I'm not trying to hide that. So that is the update on this. I did have a question about being able to get like front end parts for this. Well, it's a 65 Ford, pretty common. It's called a P400 chassis, which I believe is 1 ton dually, which is kind of weird why anybody would even refer to it as a 1 ton. According to what was written on the outside, it's a 12,000 pound GVW truck and chassis, and I believe that comes from the body manufacturer. When this thing came from Ford, it had a 10,000 pound rating, which is what you'd see on a modern day F350 or E350. Excuse me. So I don't think parts is any big deal. It's a straight axle with shocks and tie rod ends and stuff, and I can't believe they're not on every single Ford. The thing isn't sagging or anything, so I don't think you're talking about springs. I think we're talking about possibly kingpins, maybe something to do with the steering gear, maybe it's tie rod ends. I want the thing to be decent. Doesn't have to be brand new, but I want the thing to be decent. Get the whole thing lubed up. I'll get through stuff on the engine. I was thinking this was transplanted, like it might have come with a 223 from the factory, but I was thinking this was a 62. The big block 6-cylinder, the 240 and the 300 came out in 1965. My Scooby-Doo van, the Mystery Machine, is a 65 Ford Econoline Super Van, and it came with the 240. They made 500 of them that year. This being a 65 Ford, according to the VIN tag, this would have been the first year for the 306, which is apparently what we have here. Of course, this has been converted to propane, which is excellent because this thing will run forever. They run forever on gasoline. They'll run forever times 2 on propane. So that's a quick overview of where we're headed. It's going to be hopefully a productive weekend for me. I get the wiring done. I get all the lights in and wired. Get the clearance lights and stuff off of this thing. Maybe start a little bit of body work. Maybe go after that engine a little bit. Take the belts, hoses, tune up stuff off of it, clean it up, throw some paint on it, make it presentable. Not perfect, make it presentable. And new belts, hoses. I'll order a Petronix electronic ignition module for it, throw some spark plugs, build some spark plug wires. Heater hoses routed. Obviously the heater goes over there. Another video, I rebuilt that. It's ready to go in. As soon as I prepare that area and get some paint underneath it, we can put the heater back in. So I'm excited to get this thing to the point where it can be driven, and to the point where I can start doing the fun stuff, the interior build out, the wiring, all the sound equipment, etc., etc. I'm really getting jacked up. It's almost hard to sleep at night thinking about all this cool stuff that I have coming up. But I have to get it driving first. So wish me luck. Hope everything goes well this weekend, and I can stick with it and nobody changes my plans, and we're going to get this thing operational. So hopefully the next video you see on this will be completed dash, completed wiring, everything works, and it's ready to go on the trailer. It's ready to go get brakes and front end, and knock on wood, drive it home. Thanks for watching, comment, and subscribing. We'll catch you on the next one.